Just give me a holler when we are.
It'll be a surprise. We'll just stand there.
Yeah.
Frozen for a little bit.
Oh wait, hey! Oh hey! We're live. Hey everybody, we're live at the 2017 RPI Athletics Hall of Fame Banquet, and with me is Lavisa Slander, sophomore goaltender for the RPI women's hockey team, and Lavisa is getting awarded today for last year's Freshman of the Year on the women's side. And Lavisa, when you first heard about this honor, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I don't really know. I was really surprised. I didn't actually know they had it. So we were at the ice cream social, and all of a sudden my coaches kind of like looked at me a little bit, but I was really excited. It's always fun to get recognized for what you're doing.
So you actually didn't find out until the ice cream social that you were actually named the Freshman of the Year.
Yeah, it was a complete surprise.
For you, I know last year you guys played Quinnipiac in the playoffs, and you made I think 60 some odd saves. This year, not exactly how you wanted the season to end, but what are you looking forward to for the upcoming year?
I think we've definitely changed our mentality. I think for the last 2 years now, we kind of focused on making the playoffs, and I think we're changing to not from just making the playoffs, but to actually be a better team and finish stronger in the series and then move on to the ECAC Frozen Four.
For you, obviously now you're going to become an upperclassman now. You're going to be a junior next year. What are your thoughts there? I know it feels like just yesterday you were coming in, but I know you know a lot of the kids on the team now. You're very familiar with each other. How does it feel now becoming a leader, I guess, of this team?
It's fun, and I think our mentality right now is so good, and it's going to be fun to get the freshmen in on it and kind of be a bigger role in the team.
We are at the Hall of Fame ceremony, and we're four folks are going to get inducted into the Hall of Fame. This is obviously your first one, being a sophomore. Just being around all these, but I guess Hall of Famers. How does it make you feel as an RPI student athlete?
I think it's so much fun that they actually get recognized and that they get to come back here for that. And I mean, that's something like you can fight for, and hopefully, eventually, maybe I'll get to that stage. And it's cool that they actually come here and they get recognized for it.
They come back. They have a lot of the teammates are back. It's really exciting. I know Cindy Arcopoulos was inducted a few years ago. She was a big hockey alum here for RPI. So obviously hoping to build on that. There's four outstanding alums that are getting inducted here. And so Lavisa, I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Lavisa Slander, RPI sophomore goalie, Freshman of the Year. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Nailed it. I guess we're still streaming. Put the mic back on. Yeah, okay, you heard me. This thing's been streaming the whole time. It's a little bit dark, but joining me now is Ben Fazio, senior, and you're the student athlete of the year last year, and just getting you caught up on what's going on. We'll talk about more recent stuff first, I guess. You ran in the Penn Relays, had a really good race against some D1 competition. What was your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of had this goal of going under 14 minutes for 5K for a little while now. I set that for myself, and I went out there and got after it. It was a good race for it. A couple guys were able to do that. I didn't have quite the best second half, but I'm still really happy with what I was able to do. Yeah.
Coach has called you if the best, if not one of the best runners, cross country runners in school history. When your coach says something like that about you, what does that kind of mean for you?
I mean, I hope I live up to that. I don't really see myself that way too much. I try not to anyway. I think that kind of keeps the fire lit and keeps me striving for a little bit more.
I guess you can think about that more when your RPI career is done. But well, yeah, it's good to be humble, of course. And but Ben, what are your kind of goals? Obviously, states are coming up, and then hopefully nationals for some of you guys. So of course, some people have already qualified. How do you see things kind of playing out here?
Well, I know we have a state title to defend, so I'm hoping to score as many points as I can there, help the team out, and then just kind of rest up until nationals. I'd like to be able to win a national title again. I'm definitely capable of it, but we'll kind of see how things play out in the next month.
You guys had obviously a good, successful men's cross country going back to this year in the fall. Real successful, maybe not how you wanted to end at nationals, but kind of a chance to redeem yourself here, you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that was on my mind indoors and still on my mind as well. Yeah, it definitely a tough race to look back on. Super happy that the team was able to perform well. So yeah, I would like to have some individual redemption. Yeah.
And just one thing about this event, I know I talked to Lavisa about it, but this is a very fun event, especially for the athletic department. You get a chance to see some of the greats that have played, and they get a chance to talk about their experience. What are you excited to hear from some of these the Hall of Famers?
I'm not too sure actually. I don't think I'm very well versed in kind of the past, the athletic history here. So it'll definitely be cool to see kind of some people that have had really great careers in the past, and kind of, I guess, to some degree, how I stack up to that.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely at least hear some stories, and hopefully something get some entertainment out of it, if not anything else. Ben Fazio joining us. Thanks for coming by here. We'll be back with more from the 2017 Hall of Fame banquet in just a little bit.
Thanks for having me. Yep.
Talk to you guys. And then student athlete awards. So just everything's going to happen between the far table and the podium. So it's kind of a long shot, but this is fun. People, there's nothing's going to be said for vacation. They have already said it.
Okay. My name is Lee McElroy, and I am the Director of Athletics, and I would like to welcome you to the 2017 RPI Hall of Fame induction. I congratulate our honorees tonight. I do want to introduce some special people that I work with every day, and those are folks in the President's Cabinet. And if I miss someone, I'll be in trouble, so bear with me here. Travis Apgar is our Assistant Vice President. Where's Travis? Stand up, please. Thank you. His wife is with him. Jen Brock is Executive Assistant with the President. Jen is somewhere in here. I saw her earlier. There she is. Jen, thank you so much. Prabhat Hajela is our provost, and he makes sure that all these wonderful athletes get degrees. So, Prabhat, thanks for being here. John Kolb is our vice president and CIO, and he makes sure that everybody has a good computer. And I shouldn't say last but not least, because he's responsible last year for having the largest class in the history of RPI. And this year, it may be the second largest class. John Wexler, our VP for enrollment. And let me just say this. I've been fortunate enough to serve at 5 institutions across the country. And by far, the President's Cabinet collaborates with everyone across the campus, including athletics. It's very, very unusual, very unique, and we all work together to keep the university moving forward under President Jackson's leadership. I'd now like our coaches and staff to stand and be recognized. We have a bunch of coaches and staff here that I work with, part of my group, part of my team, and they're here. And thank you very much. They're doing an awesome job of keeping things moving in the direction that represents RPI and all the wonderful things that we're achieving, both in athletics and academically and in the community. Now for tonight. Tonight really is about the past, it's about the present, and it's about the future. The past, obviously, will be acknowledged through 5 wonderful inductees that have done great things. But we also have some current student athletes and coaches who are going to be recognized for outstanding feats that they've accomplished throughout their career while in attendance at Rensselaer. And for the future, we have future Hall of Famers and future Athletes of the Year coming in the doors. As I said, John Wexler was very instrumental in making sure that we maintain and sustain the quality that we need in order to be a top world-class university, which we work for every day. Now, I'm not going to go into all the wonderful things that our inductees have done. They're going to tell you a little bit about that. Some of their coaches are here, some of their teammates are here, a lot of their friends are here. I will say this, though. Hall of Fame is more than athletic feats. It's academics, because you can't come to Rensselaer and not be a top scholar athlete. But it's also some really key traits that I've found over the years that are really important. Number 1, integrity. Number 2, character. 3 is grit. 4 is passion. And last but not least is selflessness. And if you look at any top performer, any top achiever, you will see that those traits are incumbent within them. So it's really significant. So I want to thank you all for, yeah, see, you believe me too. I want to thank you all for being here. These 5 inductees tonight will join 248 members of the Rensselaer Hall of Fame. 248 members. Now, that may not seem like a large number, but folks, that's over 100 years of top people that have contributed to the athletic program and to the university. So we want to thank all 248 members, a couple of whom are here, so let's give them a warm round of applause. Now, it is my distinct honor to welcome to the podium the 18th president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson.
Well, good evening. Good evening. How's everyone? Doing well. Okay. And thank you, Lee. You're always great. Well, let me begin by welcoming our guests, our Hall of Fame inductees, and our student athletes and their families and friends, as well as members, of course, of our athletics department and, of course, the President's Cabinet. And all of you work together to make the Rensselaer the special place that it is. Now, as you know, the list of accomplishments of Rensselaer alumni and alumnae is just astonishing, from surveying the natural resources of the nation and pioneering the science of geology in the early 19th century. Most people don't think about that when they think about Rensselaer. To contributing the essential infrastructure for commerce late in the 19th century, including the railroads, the canals, the roads, and bridges. And in the 20th century, our alumni and alumnae include the great stadium designers, Frank Osborne of the class of 1880 and Kenneth Osborne of the class of 1908. Now here's the quiz. Do any of you know what they're famous for? Oh, well. Fenway Park and Tiger Stadium are their work, among others. We've had pioneers in aerospace, in electric and nuclear power, and in the development of new materials, including semiconductors. And they include towering figures of the digital age, including the inventors of the microprocessor, networked email, and the digital camera. And now they include leaders in the so-called fourth industrial revolution, in which the digital, the physical, and the biological worlds are merging. And you know, when speaking, which I do often, to our students and to our alumni and alumnae groups, I often mention the accomplishments of their forebears. And sometimes I can hear gasps or see wide eyes in response, as they glimpse the full measure of innovation and discovery that in fact has emanated from Rensselaer. In fact, I was bragging on the university last night to a group. And so we're very proud of what our alumni and alumnae have done. And included in that is our pride in you, our student athletes, because you also inspire Rensselaer. You came, our students today, and you carry our name forward. And I'm so glad that in the Athletics Hall of Fame, we have a vehicle for remembering and celebrating your excellence. Now, as you heard from Dr. McElroy, it is character as much as knowledge that makes people who they are. And we celebrate brilliance and academic achievement, but many in the cabinet have often heard me say that character trumps brilliance any day of the week. But you can't really succeed, with the one without the other. And that character often is displayed in athletics, where a player's ingenuity and intellectual agility are tested, along with his or her physical grace, courage, and ability to inspire and encourage others. And so today we honor the very best Rensselaer student athletes from classes past, and we ensure that their feats always will be remembered here. And joining our Hall of Fame will be Brian Richardson of the class of 1996, a management major and men's hockey forward who ranks 4th in Rensselaer history in career assists and 8th in points, scoring 50 or more points in 2 seasons. Now, we also will induct Stephanie Vanek Reed of the class of 2006, a mechanical engineering major. She also was a shortstop, outfielder, and pitcher, 2-time captain of Rensselaer softball, 3-time All-League honoree, and 2-time All-Region. And then Jay Bernardo, now you all know how I feel about football, of the class of 2007. And he was a management major and a football running back who rushed for 3,550 yards and a school record 47 touchdowns as a 4-year varsity performance. He was also 2-time captain of his team. That's very important. And he was named All-League 3 times and All-Region twice. We also will induct Felicia Sy Bokel of the class of 2007, a chemistry major, and an outstanding performer in track and field in the weight throw, hammer, and discus, qualifying 6 times for NCAA championship meets. Now, she set numerous school, Liberty League, and New York State records throughout her career and earned 4 Field Performer of the Year conference awards. Unfortunately, Felicia is unable to be here because she and her husband, Josh Bokel, a member of the Rensselaer class of 2003 and also a former thrower, now live overseas. Now, we also honor Mike Griffin, our great head basketball coach from 1984 to 2014, 30 years. And he guided the Engineers to 16 postseason appearances, including 3 NCAA tournaments. And he was the Liberty League's Coach of the Year 5 times and has the most wins of any men's basketball coach in Rensselaer history. Now, Coach Griffin, I have to, deviate from the script for a minute to tell you that I loved to play basketball. Now, I'm a little height challenged. And I played in the days when it was 3 dribbles and the pass. You remember that? And, the roving forward and roving guard and all of that. But I do have one thing I have to tell you. I played in the presidential basketball court at Camp David. But, it's the best I could do. It doesn't match your record. So we're very proud, and so very proud to have all of our inductees here, except for the one I mentioned. And I want to thank you for remaining part of the Rensselaer family and for inspiring younger athletes and coaches, and for those of you with your babies and children here. We expect to see them on the friendly field of strife, as a former athletics director used to say. I also want to congratulate our current year-end Student Athlete Award winners, our Freshman Athletes of the Year, goaltender Lovisa Salander of our women's hockey team from Stockholm, Sweden, and pitcher Brendan McNerney of baseball. And we have our Athletes of the Year, Shani Lynn of women's swimming, and Ben Fazio of men's cross country and track and field. And I have to say, I have to give you a nod because, you guys, I see you running. I wouldn't be out running in the weather. And of course, we have our career athletes, Taylor Tenike, catcher for Rensselaer softball, and Jamie Jackson, captain of our golf team. Now, I do try my hand at golf, but I'm going to do this let's go red thing. But I don't want anybody here looking at me because I'm really not very good, but I do my best. And finally, I want to congratulate our Marvin Anderson Coaches of the Year, Shannon O'Brien of men and women's swimming, and John Lynch of men and women's cross country. Now, we are very proud of so many things here, and we're very proud of our faculty. But our talented coaches also teach and inspire success, inside and outside of the classroom. But we've worked here very hard to build platforms, worthy of what you do to support our scholar-athlete model, specifically our student athletes, by investing over $100 million in creating the East Campus Athletic Village, which offers so many things, including strength and conditioning and sports medicine facilities for all of our student athletes. And that investment includes $13 million in significant renovations to the venerable Houston Fieldhouse. And, I'm so pleased that as well, we were able to attract a new men's ice hockey coach, Dave Smith, and everywhere I go, I'm hearing about what a great choice we made. It's very interesting. I was up on Lake George today. I came down to do this, and I heard about that once again. But important for you to know, this coming fall, we will be launching a new capital campaign designed to prepare Rensselaer for its third century. And one focus of that campaign will be building out the campus for Rensselaer's third century. And included in that are our athletics facilities, expanding them, and our programs. And so I hope that all of you will attend, even if it's not your formal reunion, that you will attend reunion and homecoming weekend this fall from October 12th to the 15th, when we will launch the new capital campaign. And I hope that all of you will be generous with your own philanthropy as well as your advice. And so I want to thank you for staying with us, for staying part of the Rensselaer family, and importantly, remaining connected to Rensselaer as your alma mater, because you carry us into the larger world, and that is very important. And so again, I want to congratulate all of the men and women we honor tonight. Thank all of you for being here. It'll be a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jackson, for your poignant words. I'm Sachi Vines, Director of Marketing and Promotions, and I have the honor of presenting the Year-End Student Athlete and Marvin Anderson Awards from the 2015-16 academic year. These honorees are an incredibly impressive group of student athletes, leaders, and people who have represented Rensselaer and Rensselaer athletics with pride and dignity. Unfortunately, some of the award winners are unable to be with us due to conflicts, but we will announce each nonetheless. We will begin with our male and female freshman athletes of the year. On the men's side, he made 13 appearances on the mound for the baseball team, going 6-2 and earning all Liberty League first team. From the baseball team and an environmental engineering major, Brennan McNerney, class of 2019. Brennan is with the Engineers in Rochester this weekend. For the women, she played 33 games, posting a 2.11 goals against average on her way to being named a finalist for the ECAC Hockey Goaltender of the Year Award in All-League third team. A native of Sweden and a chemical engineering major, Lovisa Selander, class of 2019. Come on up. Our Athlete of the Year Award winner on the women's side was Shani Lynn, class of 2018. As a sophomore, Shani finished fourth in the nation in the 200 butterfly to earn National All-America for the second straight year. Incidentally, she earned her third with a runner-up finish in March. She also set numerous school and pull records in helping the Engineers to a school record for wins in a season. An electrical engineering major, Shani was also a National Academic All-America. From El Paso, Texas, Shani Lynn. The Male Athlete of the Year is Ben Fazio of the class of 2017. As a junior, he earned All-America in cross country, broke a 30-year school record in the indoor 5,000 meters, and qualified for the NCAA championship meet in both indoor and outdoor. He has since gone on to anchor the men's indoor distance medley relay team to a national championship and earned National All-America in the 3,000 meters. A materials engineering major from East Greenwich, Rhode Island, Benjamin Fazio. Unfortunately, neither of our career athletes are able to be here due to work travel conflicts. But the men's recipient was Jamie Jackson, class of 2016, and a member of the golf team who was All-League and All-Region twice, All-America once, National Academic All-America twice, and the recipient of the Leopold Ballison Prize, awarded annually to the graduating student athlete with the highest cumulative grade point average, a biomedical engineering major. Jamie is employed by Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. The Women's Career Athlete Award winner is Taylor Tanek, also from the class of 2016, a business and management major currently working for the General Dynamics electric boat. She was a 4-year starter at catcher on the softball team. In her career, she was a 2-time captain who earned All ECAC once and All Liberty League 4 times. She was the Conference Rookie of the Year and the Rensselaer Athletics Female Freshman Athlete of the Year. And lastly, we have the Marvin Anderson Award, which was presented to the department's Coach of the Year as voted on by their peers. This year, we had co-recipients in John Lynch of men's and women's cross country and Shannon O'Brien of men's and women's swimming. John Lynch coached the men's team to 5 top 5 finishes with 1 National America and 4 All Liberty League honorees. For the women, the engineers had 7 top 5s, including the Liberty League championship, finished a school record 9th in the national championship meet with 1 National All-America and 6 All-League honorees. Shannon coached the women to a school record 7-0 record in dual meets and second place finishes in both the league and state meets on the way to earning the Liberty League Coaching Staff of the Year award. 2 student athletes qualified for the NCAA championship with 1 All-America. The engineers had 7 different all-conference first-team swimmers. The men were also perfect in dual meets, also going 7-0, while also winning the Liberty League Championship and the Kump RPI Invitational. There were 5 all-conference first-team honorees. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shannon O'Brien and John Lynch, the Marvin Anderson Award recipients. Can we get all the Student Athlete Award winners? We'll be sorry, really quick. We'll just take a quick group picture. Please. Congratulations once again, all the award winners. Just take one quick picture. Congrats, Shani. Right in the middle. Thank you, guys. So at this time, we'll begin dinner, and the staff from the Hilton Garden Inn will invite you to the buffet by table. But first, we'll have Father Ed up at the podium for the invocation. Thank you.
Let us pray. Blessed are you, Lord of all creation. We give you praise and thanks for the beauty that begins to surround us with the spring and these days of renewal. This night we honor Jay, Brian, Felicia, Stephanie, and Mike. They have used their gifts in so many outstanding ways in the classroom, in competition, and as leaders. We have been all blessed by the experience of their efforts and are so better for them. And this night is a moment of gratitude For them, their family and friends and all supported them before they came to Rensselaer and while they were here. Bless them always. This evening we share the bounty of the land, and for this we thank you, from the farmer to all who have made this possible. Tonight also, Lord, we are sustained by memories, your loving kindness to us through them. We ask also that we remember those who have nothing, and let us be the individuals who share your generosity when they come before them. Bless the stories tonight, bless the memories. We are nourished by them. They are our past, they are our present, and truly they support us in the future. Blessed are you, Lord, now and forever. Amen.
And go manual. I'm just gonna start recording.
Good evening, everyone. We'd like to get back to the program, though I will let everyone know that the desserts remain out, and if you'd like additional desserts, by all means, please do so. My name is Kevin Beatty, Associate Athletic Director. I'm also the chair of the Hall of Fame Committee, and it's a tremendous pleasure for me to be here to represent the Athletics Hall of Fame Committee. It's a passionate group that really cares about the student athletes, former student athletes, alumni, staff, and of course the fans. It's interesting because we begin debating about the Hall of Fame candidates yesterday, and we continue through tomorrow. We start conversations well before our committee gets together. They continue, of course, in the room, and then even after the fact. It's that competitive of a pool. We are very, very fortunate at Rensselaer to have tremendous athletics, and we see that not only through this class, but through the ballot on an annual basis. Many of the members of the Hall of Fame Selection Committee are in attendance, and I would like to point those folks out. We will hold our applause until the last person, if you would, please. Bob Conway, Karen Hansen, Father Ed Casurgis, Bridget Lenore, undergraduate class of 1999, Shannon O'Brien, and Carol Pillsworth, Rensselaer class of 1976. A number of members couldn't be here, but they're vital to the process that we go through. So thank you to those who are on the committee. We appreciate your hard work and your dedication and that passion that you have for RPI Rensselaer Athletics. Thank you. On behalf of the committee, we would like to offer our congratulations to the Student Athlete Award winners, which includes standouts from the rink and the mound and the pool, the track, the golf course, and the softball diamond. Lovisa, Rendon, Shani, Ben, Jamie, and Taylor are all very different individuals, but they have a lot of the same attributes, such as athleticism, intelligence, the passion to not only to compete, but to win, and a team-first mentality. Not surprisingly, those are many of the characteristics that our 5 inductees possess. And with this year's Hall of Fame inductee class, we have team leaders, all-league and all-region selections, All-Americas, mentors, and record holders. They were not the biggest or tallest members of their team all the time, well, maybe with the exception of Coach Griffin, but each of them exhibited tremendous heart and desire. With impressive athletic abilities and thoughtful minds, those attributes have helped them join an elite class, as Dr. McElroy indicated, of Rensselaer Athletics Hall of Famers. Congratulations to each and every one of you. Thank you for what you did as student athletes here and coaches, and what you continue to do for Rensselaer and Rensselaer Athletics. Before the inductions, we do have a number of Hall of Famers, as Dr. McElroy had indicated, and we'd like to introduce those folks. Again, if you could hold your applause until the final Hall of Famer is introduced, that would be helpful. We'll start again with Mr. Bob Conway, Bob Ducat, John Doc Hudson, undergraduate class of 1956, Joe King, Bridget Lenore, class of 1999, Warren Lutz, Anthony Ortolano, Carol Pillsworth, class of 1976, Lorena Suker Riley, class of 2000, Tom Ronan, class of 1992, and lastly, Richard Scammell, class of 1969. Thank you all for being here. I would also like to take a minute to thank our friends from RPI TV who were generous enough with their time to be here to help us webcast this. Hopefully everyone has an opportunity to view this back when they go back to their homes or residence halls, wherever you may reside. Thank you also to RPI TV for everything you do, not just with this banquet, but throughout the course of the academic year, for athletics and for the Institute. And thank you to Peter Padone, Sachi Vines, and Leslie Delano for all your help in coordinating this event. On an annual basis, it's one of the best that we put on as an athletic department, and we wouldn't be able to do it without you folks. Thank you. It is now time to begin the inductions of the class of 2017. We're going to use a format that we've used for the past 2 or 3 years now, where each inductee will be introduced individually, and we will ask him or her to come up and receive their plaque, but also pose for a photograph with Dr. Jackson and Dr. McElroy. They will then return to their seat, and once everyone has been inducted, we will have a panel discussion with all 4 inductees in the group. We begin with a Capital Region native who actually traveled the farthest to be here tonight, Jay Bernardo, class of 2006. A running back from LaSalle Institute, Jay accomplished a rare feat by being a 4-year letter winner in football during an era when most first and oftentimes second-year students spent the majority of their time learning the ropes of the college game, often on the junior varsity. Jay, however, picked up the offensive scheme seamlessly and saw action immediately. The first game of that 2003 season was at Utica College, and he had a modest 34 yards on 9 carries in a win. Game 2 was the real preview of why we're honoring him here tonight. He rushed for 116 yards and a touchdown on 17 carries in a shot glass trophy victory over the Coast Guard Academy. The year only got better for Jay and the team as the Engineers advanced to the semifinals of the NCAA tournament, finishing with 11 wins in the most successful season in school history. Now, Jay admits he was lucky that year. He was lucky to be able to play as much as he did, and he never took it for granted. Playing from August through December is a long season, but it was a special year. And not just the success Jay had on the field or the team's success. He had the chance to learn from his peers, such as senior captain and linebacker Chris Pierce, who had the locker next to Jay's, as well as Otis Williams, his backfield mate, who constantly stressed that talent can only take you so far. Jay affectionately remembers Otis as Mr. Blue Collar. Jay was very much like Otis, and not just because they were both generously listed at 5'7" in the program. The son of a construction worker father who migrated from Italy and a mom who continues to work to this day, Jay inherited a mentality that nothing is given to you. He comes from a good, hardworking, blue-collar family, and there's nothing pretentious about him, says Jay's head coach from high school, Al Rapp, back in 2005. It was the 2005 season, Jay's third, that he gained national attention for his accomplishments following a summer of working on his strength, speed, agility for 5 or 6 days a week. He went on to gain more than 1,600 yards on offense, including over 1,400 on the ground, while rushing for 19 touchdowns. He finished 6th in the nation in average points per game and 8th in rushing yards per game. He scored at least 1 touchdown every game, including an NCAA record that will never be broken, 99 yards against Endicott in the season opener. Jay finished that game with 249 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. A captain, another rarity for a junior with the Engineers, he went on to earn All-League, All-Region, All-America. He was the team's most valuable player and the most outstanding player of an ECAC bowl game, which put the final season record at an impressive 8-2. The only losses came One was a triple overtime heartbreaker at Hobart, which Jay had 122 yards and 2 touchdowns. The other was a de facto league championship game at Union College, during which Jay scored 3 times in a close loss to the nationally ranked Dutchman. The following week, in that ECAC Bowl, he was the only running back on the Engineers to carry the ball, and he finished with 160 yards and a touchdown in that bowl game win on his way to earning Most Outstanding Player. That year was also the first without Otis Williams, and Jay answered a lot of questions about his size and durability. In fact, he no longer saw his frame as a detriment, learning to use it as an advantage. He patiently waited for the holes to open up while he was hiding behind the offensive lineman before darting out and using his speed to gain yards. He also was smart enough, creative enough, and fast enough to avoid taking many big hits while carrying the ball. Jay's senior year was much like the one before. Captain, more than 1,000 yards rushing, team leader in touchdowns, all-region, most valuable player. He had a 4-touchdown game and a 200-yard rushing game, with touchdown runs of 54 and 46 yards. Most importantly, the Engineers won 7 games, including another victory in an ECAC Bowl. The highlight for him that year, though, was the regular season finale at 86 Field, when Jay's 4 siblings surprised him, joining him and his parents on the field for the senior day pregame ceremony. After getting his emotions back in check, he ran for 134 yards and a touchdown in a decisive win over Union. It was for that final games program that Jay reflected on his Rensselaer experience, which, interestingly enough, fits well into tonight's ceremony. When asked what made his time in Troy special, Jay said, in part, "I've been given an opportunity that many people don't get the chance to have. I am overly grateful to have been involved in something that has allowed me to grow. With that, I have taken away memories and friendships that will last me a lifetime, and I don't think I could have obtained that anywhere else." Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first inductee, the school record holder for career touchdowns. He now lives in Santa Monica, California, Mr. John C. J. Bernardo. Our next inductee is Brian Richardson, class of 1996. Much like Jay, Brian was something of an anomaly in that he was considered undersized with the expectation that he would likely ease into his first year while adapting to college life and Division I hockey, which back then featured many more skilled juniors and seniors than today. And like Jay, 20 years later, Brian made an immediate impact. Though he began on the 4th line, he had the advantage of playing on the power play, and he seized the opportunity, garnering points and praise. Richardson is the Larry Bird of RPI hockey, known for his incredible ability to find open teammates and hit them with perfect passes, wrote veteran sports writer Tom Baji of the Daily Gazette in 1996. Richardson is just the latest in a long line of outstanding centers at RPI, following the footsteps of Adam Oates, Joe Juneau, and Craig Hamlin, the article continued. Obviously, that is high praise for a first-year player who many considered small, a little slow, and perhaps a little too reliant on natural ability. But like Jay, Brian actually used his size as an advantage, getting leverage on the opposition. He finished that year with 14 goals, 10 of which came on the power play, and 24 assists for 38 points in only 34 games. He had a goal or more in 12 contests and at least 1 point in 25 on a team that narrowly missed the NCAA tournament. However, it was a game in which he didn't register any points that season, which Brian remembers very well. He remembers it because he wasn't in the lineup. As first-year students sometimes do, Brian decided to sleep in instead of going to his general psychology class. Not a big deal, he figured. He'd still certainly get through the semester, despite missing this one class. Perhaps so, but attending class was a requirement. Playing was not. Head coach Buddy Powers did not hesitate to put his blue-chip recruit in the stands for a few days, including a game, to emphasize the importance of being a student-athlete at RPI and a teammate who could be counted on. Brian may have been skilled enough to make Division I defensemen look like highway construction cones, as one article from the Troy Record described, but not going to class meant no ice time. The anger Brian felt is something he still remembers. But don't be mistaken. The resentment is toward himself. It was a selfish act, he admits, and he deserved to be in the seats. From that point on, he not only made his classes, he consistently contributed to the discussions, earned Dean's List, and graduated with a business degree with a special interest in marketing. It was the opportunity to earn that degree that steered Brian to the U.S. and to college hockey. Though he had a chance to play Major Junior in his native Canada, he really liked the Rensselaer coaching staff and the rink. His parents emphasized the importance of an education and provided the guidance he needed to make the decision to come to Troy. Being at RPI was great, Brian told me recently. We were treated so well, and it was awesome playing in the field house. It was a great atmosphere with the band and the fans being so passionate. As a point of information, upon arrival, Brian and his parents insisted that they get a tour of the Houston Fieldhouse, so I was happy to bring them in so that they could see their old stomping grounds. And I could see the flood of memories coming in for not only Brian, but also for his parents. Richardson, who finished second in the league's Rookie of the Year voting as a freshman, continued to give that crowd reasons to cheer as a sophomore when he had 23 goals and 52 points in 36 games. The team won 2 in-season tournaments in 21 games on its way to qualifying for the NCAA tournament, the program's first since the 1985 NCAA championship team. While he had already posted 90 points in just 70 games during his first 2 years, thanks to his great hands, vision, and moves that baffled defensemen, improvements were necessary to round out his game. His coach, Dan Fridgen, told him to concentrate on shooting more, improve defensively, and be well-conditioned. What Fridge said was actually a confirmation of what was already brought up to him by his then-girlfriend and now wife, Cheryl, who had said, "You do what you have to do to get by," she told him. "You're smart to marry her." "I've always been satisfied with the way I am and using what I've been given. That's a poor attitude. Thanks to some help, I've realized that," Brian said following his sophomore season. He took the constructive criticism to heart. Today, he and Cheryl have instilled the value and hard work into their children. Brad is 18 years old and plays hockey. Katie is 15 and plays soccer. Unfortunately, neither Katie nor Cheryl are able to be here because Katie is playing in an elite tournament in Montreal. Additionally, Brian coaches youth teams and consistently communicates a high demand for discipline, effort, and respect out of his players. Much of the basis of that ideology was put into practice during his junior year, though things didn't go as smoothly for the team, which many considered to be national championship contenders. After a decent start, the Engineers dropped off a little in the middle, struggling with injuries and taking some tough losses. They found themselves in 6th place in the standings, a spot no one expected them, especially themselves. Normally a lead by example type, Brian spoke up. "We have a lot of talent here, but we're not going to win unless we work hard," he said in a February 1995 newspaper article. Following a closed-door, players-only meeting, the team came out with a new attitude and made a run that many at the Houston Fieldhouse still remember. The Engineers went on the road and beat Harvard to advance to Lake Placid. They then knocked off Colgate in the semifinals and beat Princeton 5-1 in the championship game to earn the right to play in the NCAA tournament for the second straight season. Brian, who had 4 points in those 4 league playoff games, lists that ECAC tournament championship as one of the most memorable moments of his career. Rensselaer went on to face mighty Minnesota in the NCAAs, and the Gophers knew the key to defending the Engineers was to shut down Brian Richardson. Rather unusually in hockey, they had a player shadow him every time he went on the ice, which Minnesota won 3-0. Brian continued to post impressive numbers as a senior, but they meant much less to him because the team struggled to win that year. He quoted, "I would trade in the points I have for a winning season," he said back then. With career bests of 36 assists and 56 points, he climbed into the top 10 in school history in career goals, assists, and points. Only one of 5 in school history to stake that claim, and none were named Oates nor Juno. And no one has done it since. So one of the greatest scorers in school history currently sits 4th in career assists with 113, 8th in points with 193, and 11th in goals with 113. Brian went on to play professionally in Europe and throughout the U.S. for more than a decade, averaging more than a point per game in half a dozen of those years. Impressive statistics, to be sure, but most importantly is that Brian graduated from Rensselaer, having been educated in the classroom, on the ice, and otherwise, and is using that knowledge as a senior biopharmaceutical rep for Bone Health. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our second inductee, who averaged 1.37 points per game over 4 years in Troy. He now lives in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, Mr. Brian Richardson. Our third inductee is Stephanie Bannock-Reed, class of 2006. And in all honesty, it is her husband who should probably be up here introducing her, or at least announcing her. You see, Robert Reed, also a member of the class of 2006, was the softball team's public address announcer during Stephanie's final 2 years with the team, so maybe he should be on the microphone one more time. Stephanie and Robert actually started dating in their freshman year, and he quickly became her biggest fan on campus. And what was not to like? In 29 games that year, she led the team in 12 offensive categories, including a .429 batting average, 31 runs, 32 runs knocked in, and 15 stolen bases in only 29 games. She had nearly as much success pitching with a 1.72 earned run average, with the opposition hitting only 183. She earned numerous weekly awards, and at year's end was All-League as a shortstop, a position she rarely played before coming to college, and as a pitcher. What makes those statistics and honors even more impressive was the tremendous competition she and her teammates faced, especially early in the season when they traveled to California, a college hotbed with some obvious distinct advantages, on spring break. The Engineers rebounded to win 15 of their last 18 games and finish first in the league. As a sophomore, during which she pitched and played second base, her normal fielding spot when she was not in the circle, the team won 22 games and played in the postseason for the first of 14, and counting, straight years. A trip to the ECAC tournament championship round helped solidify the groundwork for Stephanie's junior year, which was as impressive as any seen on campus, before or since. A captain that year, she moved back to shortstop, though she did not pitch, and she dominated at the plate, finishing with a .485 batting average, 43 runs, and 23 stolen bases in 30 games. In fact, she led the entire country in hitting with a .582 batting average in mid-April when the team had just 2 losses in 20 games and was ranked near the top 10 in Division III. It was highlighted by one week in which Stephanie had 11 hits and 15 at-bats for a .733 batting average. It was clear the mechanical engineering major was back to allowing her natural abilities, hand-eye coordination, power, speed, as well as her muscle memory to take over, something that did not occur during her sophomore year. Practice is for thinking, she said, admitting she overthought things. It was something she realized after her second year. I just try and swing the bat and hit the ball, she told Rich File of the Record newspaper in April of her junior season. Clear my head and concentrate on the pitcher, she later told the Poly, the student newspaper. Reacting to what was pitched helped her finish 11th in the nation in batting average, 7th in runs per game, and 13th in stolen bases. I never set out to accomplish things, Stephanie said to me recently. I just always loved to play. Her love for the game, which began when she was about her daughter Brooklyn's age of 7, helped her achieve as much as she did. So too did her teammates, a group that truly shared special bonds throughout her time on campus. That enjoyment flourished in 2006 when she was captain of the team again, this time leading Rensselaer to a school record 35 wins, the Liberty League Tournament Championship, and an NCAA tournament appearance. Not one for personal achievements, Stephanie did have a goal of helping the Engineers to nationals, and still remains proud to have accomplished it. Making the NCAAs was awesome. It was a highlight of my career, she said. Not surprisingly, she played a large role in the team's unprecedented success. The leadoff hitter, and now playing center field, she finished with a .382 batting average, school record 49 runs in only 41 games. She also found her way back to the pitching circle and was undefeated in 5 decisions with a 0.75 earned run average. She was again All-League, All-Region, and selected to the NCAA All-Tournament team. Upon graduation, she moved to the West Coast with Robert, where they both worked for Boeing. They have since moved to the Chicago area and now have 3 additions to their team, with Brooklyn being the oldest. Being able to juggle multiple facets of life and various responsibilities are good lessons, she said. I use this every day as a stay-at-home mom of 3 young children with a multitude of activities they participate in. One of those activities now includes bats and balls, and Stephanie expects to offer the same encouragement she received. She had a career that was supported by many, including her now husband from the press box, but especially from her family, and in particular her dad, John. He was always there, Stephanie wrote. He helped me practice, drove me all over Long Island for various practices, drove me all over the East Coast for softball games, as well as the cost to play on teams and all the gear. He never missed a game if he could help it, and even drove the 3 hours there and back in one day to watch me play as often as he could. That kind of love and support impacts your life without you even realizing it. Ladies and gentlemen, our 3rd inductee into the Rensselaer Athletics Hall of Fame, who blasted a school record 18 home runs in her career, originally from Smithtown, New York, Stephanie Vanek Reed. As Dr. Jackson mentioned, Felicia Sy Bokel, class of 2007, now lives abroad and is unable to be here tonight. One of the best throwers the Institute has ever seen. She earned too many league or state titles and awards to count as she became a 4-time NCAA All-America. We hope she is able to attend a future induction ceremony so we can celebrate with her and her family and teammates. Regardless, we are proud to include Felicia in this year's Hall of Fame class. Speaking of incalculable, that brings us to our final inductee, Mr. Mike Griffin, a longtime basketball coach who was a major influence on the lives of so many. For Mike, everything starts at home with him and his wife, Priscilla, as they raised their 2 daughters, Julia, a graduate of Harvard, and Emily, who graduated from her dad's alma mater, Columbia. Fortunately, they both took after their parents and entered the noblest of professions, teaching. While Priscilla remains an elementary school teacher, Don't be fooled that she was the only person in the household providing instruction. Coaching is teaching, and Mike Griffin taught a lot of young people about more than just proper shooting technique, press defenses, or how to box out on a rebound. Marty Lewis, who first met Mike while attending one of his camps and whose son later played for Griff at Rensselaer, said of Mike, an outstanding teacher who has positively impacted the lives of thousands of young men over the years. Mike originally came to Rensselaer in 1970 after spending 2 years at Temple Law School and then coaching for 3 at his alma mater. He joined the staff of Bill Calbaugh, who, like Mike, enjoyed a long and distinguished career at Rensselaer. Coach Calbaugh was a man of high character who prided himself on teaching young men. It is no surprise that he was one of the most influential figures in Mike's life. Mike left RPI in 1973, making stops at the University of Vermont and Colgate, among others, before coming back in 1984 to become the 13th head men's basketball coach, but just the 3rd in 32 years. Coach Calbaugh coached for 30 years, the same as Mike. And at his mentor's retirement dinner, Mike said that Coach Calbaugh, quote, coached basketball, but he also taught young men. Mike proudly and humbly did the same. He also coached young women, taking over the women's basketball program for a season, a rewarding experience for which he remains thankful, as well as serving as an advisor for the Student Athlete Advisory Committee for many years. He also coached freshman lacrosse, taught phys ed classes, and was named an assistant athletic director by Bob Ducat. Mike used each of these opportunities to help shape young lives, regardless of the situation. They could have been scrimmages or league games, road trips, tournaments, wins or losses. Paul Hallis, class of 2006, who played for Mike and was later an assistant coach for Mike, said, "He helped me grow as a player, but more importantly, helped me grow as a person. He gave me the opportunity to follow my dreams. He has had such an impact on my life, and I cannot thank him enough. I learned so much from him, and I use the lessons he taught me every day." The school's all-time winningest coach, he led the Engineers to the postseason 16 times, including 3 NCAA tournament appearances. His 90-91 team won 18 straight games and finished 20-5, both of which remain school records. And they were 11-1 in the league, on the way to Rensselaer's first appearance in the national tournament in 15 years. 5 years later, the Engineers won another 20 games and boasted the first 2 NCAA tournament wins in school history on the way to the Sweet 16, the farthest any basketball team has advanced at Rensselaer. The third appearance came in 2009 when Mike guided the team to the Liberty League Tournament Championship and automatic berth, defeating St. Lawrence at St. Lawrence for that title. Chris Downs, the St. Lawrence head coach then and now, said upon Mike announcing his retirement, quote, "Mike is one of the best gentlemen I have coached against. He continued to grow as a coach and changed his approach to fit his players. His teams were always the toughest, most well-prepared, and difficult to play against. Maybe now there will be a few more wins out there for the rest of us." That 2008-09 season was magical for other reasons as well, most notably because it was also the year which Mike broke Coach Calbaugh's school record for career wins, and he reached the 300 win mark. All of this came just weeks after his beloved Pittsburgh Steelers won the Super Bowl. 2 years later, he guided the Engineers to 17 wins, including 11 in the conference, to earn the league's Coach of the Year award for the 5th time in his career. "It is fun playing for him," Tim Rupp, class of 2010, said of Mike at the time. "It's just what I wanted in college, play for a coach who really cares about us." Not a day went by from the first game he coached against York in the Capital District Tournament with a team that featured Jerry Hatcher, class of 1986, who's here tonight, to his final game with a roster that included Jerry's son, Brian Hatcher, class of 2017. Coaching literally hundreds of student athletes, sharing winning and losing with them, and then watching them move on to successful, productive lives has been an experience to treasure, Mike said upon his retirement in May of 2014. I have volunteered at graduation for a long time, and being there on commencement day, just seeing their parents, that's always been the best part, he told Pete Irizzo of the Times-Union. Mike remains in contact with those alums and their families, just as he did while he was coaching, sending notes regularly to inform them how the engineers were doing and to find out what was happening in their lives. Without fail, Mike inquired how he might be able to help them. Mike Griffin has a passion for basketball, and he always will, but he has a love of people, especially those with whom he had the pleasure to coach and to teach. Ladies and gentlemen, our final inductee, who joins 13 of his former student athletes and numerous coaching colleagues in the Hall of Fame, native of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Michael M. Griffin. At this time, we would like each of the 4 inductees to come up to the dais, where we'll have a conversation of sorts. There's no set format, so everyone will be involved throughout this final segment. At the end, we will give each an opportunity to share their final thoughts and thank yous. There's a microphone for each of you, if you don't mind. Then everyone will be able to hear you, and we can get it on the webcast. We will start with this, and I'll start with Brian. What do you best remember about the people at RPI, and not just those on campus, but those who surrounded and supported the hockey program?
Well, you can tell by the turnout tonight, everybody's invested and involved, and they want to see people succeed. And for me, it was humbling to receive a scholarship to come and play here, and then to have the people that support you the way they do, and really be passionate about all the sports and everything involved in RPI was quite a sight to see, and quite enjoyable for me.
Jay, from your perspective as a football player, obviously you're from the area and always had family, but you got to know a lot of other people. What was the support? What did the support mean for you as a student athlete?
That was actually one of the biggest reasons why I even chose RPI. A lot of the other schools that I had already visited, they just didn't really have like this family atmosphere. Kind of felt really disconnected. And one of the things that I felt, just because maybe it was just because there was a lot of local guys that might have had a lot to do with it, but that support and just that really family, tight-knit atmosphere was one of the biggest reasons why I even picked RPI. So it was big for me.
Thanks. You mentioned family. Steph, we talked about your family, your dad in particular. What does it mean to have that family support, whether it's one person or the entire family, or perhaps even your husband-to-be?
Well, it means a lot because you just feel like you can do it. You don't have any roadblocks. You have that support to go out there and do what you want to do and do what you love. So,
Mike, you had to rely on your family. You were in this for a few more years than the 4-year undergraduates, 30 years, but I obviously had to have the support of the family. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I'll obviously start with Priscilla. We got married in 1971. She lived in Scarsdale, so she married me. She got to move to Troy, which was a little bit of an adjustment. And then 2 years later, we moved to the Bronx, so I could go back to coach at Columbia. And then Burlington, Vermont, Hamilton, New York, and then and in each of those places, Priscilla found jobs. She worked as a proofreader. She worked in a bank. She worked as a teacher. She did a lot of things as we moved from place to place. We spent 8 years in Hamilton there at Colgate, and Julia joined us along the way there. And then out to a small mining town out in western Pennsylvania at Teal College in Greenville, and then Detroit. And so, I mean, just made the adjustments, did the things that we, that we needed to do. And I would say about Julie and Emily, what a lot of people don't realize, if you may, is that between 1997 and 2005, and I estimated about 150 games of our games, either Julia or Emily kept the book. So, I mean, the feeling of that happening, that someone is so close in your life, and so being about 25, 35 feet away as you do what you love to do, but there's ups and there's downs, and to share that they were right there and sharing that was something I was unbelievable.
We talked a little bit about first-year players actually seeing the field and getting to compete. Jay, you talked about how lucky were you. Brian, did you feel a similar feeling as a freshman coming in and being able to contribute like you did?
Yeah, well, for me, I didn't know. I don't know, maybe a cocky kid or whatever, came out of junior, a good year, won the scoring title, and I came in, I figured I'd step right in, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of sitting in the middle of the bench and saying, am I going to play, or what's going on here? But then you learn pretty quick from your teammates and your vets who say, you know what, you'll get your time, just be ready, and when you're ready, you got to make an impact. And you learn those lessons, and you learn to be patient, but you learn to be prepared for any situation that you're thrown into. So, I guess I was fortunate enough to produce when I got in there, and then I guess the rest is history at that point.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to move this back if I can so everyone can see. Hopefully that's better. Steph, how about you? You were able to come in and, as the statistics exhibit, played pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, for softball, it's pretty well known that, seniors and juniors get to play, and freshmen and sophomores sit on the side and learn how to play. So to come in as a freshman and get to play and create the kind of stats that you mentioned that I completely forgot. It was a lot of fun. I really just love to play, and the fact that I got to play right out of the gate as a freshman was pretty awesome.
Mike, you remember the days when freshmen weren't allowed to play varsity athletics, I'm sure.
Are you talking about college?
It's factual. It's not a knock.
Remember that,
no, I was talking to Mike. From a coaching perspective, what's your mindset when first-year students come in? Do you really expect them to come in and play, or you just want to try to get them acclimated?
Well, we were fortunate in that we had a JV team. And in the recruiting, and there's a bunch of guys out there I recruited, what I would say to them is you're going to have every opportunity to be on the varsity, but if you're not physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, ready, then you're going to play. And we were so lucky to have the JV team for all those years. We played tough schedules. They would get that experience, and then if they did improve, they were ready to move on. So that was a big thing for us. The freshmen who were ready to play got the opportunity.
What is it that you miss most about being in college, but specifically RPI? We'll start with you, Jay.
Camaraderie. I've made some friendships past college, but when you have like a real tight-knit group that's just around each other all day, breathing on each other all day, in the meeting room all day, working out all day, when you have that and you're just together all the time, that's something you can't replace, and probably the biggest thing has been missing since I graduated.
Brian, I know you're still in touch with a lot of your former teammates. Do you have anything to add to that, or do you have a different perspective?
Absolutely, it's the same thing. I mean, you create these bonds. You're with people for 4 years, 3, 4, whatever years, and you go through, like you said, the ups and downs, and you hate each other, you love each other, and but in the end, you're all pulling the same cord, and you're still trying for the same stuff, and I miss it. Absolutely, I miss it for sure. And as you move on and you play further like I did, you miss all that stuff. I miss the bus trips, even if they were 15 hours. I miss those, But those are the part of things that you love and you learn to enjoy those moments.
You try to share those with your children now, and perhaps some of the students players that you coach.
Absolutely, I can. Whoever wants to listen, I think sometimes they want me to shut up, but and probably talk too much. But my son's there, and I'm sure he can attest to that. He's probably tuned me out quite a few times. But yeah, you want them to create their own memories, but you want to, bringing him here and then showing him the rink, and you want him to get that fire to want to push himself to try to attain something like this, and get to an environment where we've all part of. It's because it's second to none. It's unbelievable. The people that you meet, and I see Orty here, and Orty was a big backbone of our group, and it was fun to go through those stuff, and Bob and Rich, and the other coaches aren't here, but you remember people for life, and it's a great memory.
Thanks. Steph, I mentioned in the introductory remarks for you that your team was the first to get to the postseason, starting a string of 14 that's ongoing now. What does that mean to you as perhaps, with perhaps Coach Lewis here, as kind of a trendsetter in that regard?
That means a lot. It's really nice to be able to say I helped propel the RPI softball forward in that regard, that we went from, like you said, kind of a lull in softball to now we've got a really good team, and I think it extended beyond my career here and has gone even on into the future. So I've had a lot of great softball players here since me.
And Steph had the chance to see the softball team play, in fact, beat Union twice today. So you must have had good luck. Speaking of Union, I know a number of you are count them as your biggest rival. Jay, you had a couple of high school teammates who went and played there. What's it like playing against former teammates and in some cases, close friends?
It was fun. It was different because, you want to get angry at him and look at him with really evil eyes, but then you're thinking man, I'm actually kind of friends with you right now. So for a couple hours, you do have to be in a quote unquote an enemy. But right after the game, families would even just be embracing as if, nothing was different, hanging out at a tailgate, talking about a lot of the memories that we had shared previous to that. So it was a unique and interesting twist to have a chance to not only play college football, but to play against people that I grew up with. So that was a really cool twist to my college experience.
And Steph, you had a teammate who played on Union.
Yeah, she did, and it was, like he said, it was a unique kind of twist to it, and it was a lot of fun because we started playing together when I was about 10 maybe, and we played on a town travel league that I don't know if my dad remembers this, but it was the first time I ever saw fast pitch softball. Was on this team with her. Her name was Katie, and I remember we played this team and they had actual fast pitching, and we were all blown away, whoa, we've never seen this before, and ever since then, that was when I first got into fast pitch softball versus slow pitch, and got interested in pitching, and learned how to fast pitch after that, and so it was always fun to play her. Same thing, you want to be not angry, but rival or whatever with them, and but it's just fun. It's fun to play against your friends like that.
Brian, switching gears, I feel like I should at least give you the opportunity to defend yourself, missing that class and perhaps some of the conditioning grief that I gave you. And
I appreciate you bringing it up twice now. That's awesome. Okay. That's quite a low part in my life, so I appreciate you beating that one to death. That's awesome.
why we had you back.
Yeah.
What was the lesson that you
I guess I
learned?
thought I could slide that one under the rug, but that's not going to work. So, you know what? To be honest with you, just remembering back, it was just a bad decision. Probably amongst a bunch of bad decisions that I've made.
I didn't bring those up.
No, and those are for over a beer or something later. But you know what? It was in the grand scheme of things. I guess I hadn't quite totally matured. Coming here at 19, and it took me that to kick me in the ass a little bit. And good on Buddy for doing what he did. At the time, I probably said not that to Buddy, but. Right. But looking back on it, I think probably it was a blessing in disguise, and for that to happen to me and be, for me to learn from that was huge. And to come here and be afforded the opportunity to play hockey at a wonderful school like this and a great program, and then possibly piss it away a little bit, excuse my language, but that's not cool, and that needed to be righted, and that's where it took me. So.
And just for the record, Brian wasn't the only one on the team who was disciplined for skipping that class. So there were a couple of guys. Mike, how difficult is it to discipline students, student athletes, as the head coach? I mean, you have some out here, and I'm sure none of these guys had any reason to be disciplined. But from your perspective, no.
Well, I was fortunate enough to attend Columbia and to play basketball there, and I played for just a wonderful man who was a terrific basketball coach. He was the National Basketball Coach of the Year in 1968, and I learned so much from him and understood about the way things had to be. And of course, liberal arts school, not an RPI, but strict. Demanding academics. I got here, and Bill Calbaugh was certainly my main mentor, but Warren Lutz and Bob Banquet were so helpful in helping me understand about RPI student athletes, and they're here, and they have to work so hard in the classroom and everything. And what you have to do, and I'm not really sure who it was told me, this might even have been Al Goodyear, the soccer and lacrosse coach, that what you have to do is persuade them to work as hard between 4 and 6 as they do between 8 and 4. And so it was an adjustment, but I had some terrific mentors right from when I was in college, but certainly through here in helping me understand about RPI student athletes.
Thank you. Jay, could you touch on the senior day ceremony that I alluded to or talked about in the speech? I thought in the conversation we had in advance of this, that seemed to be a poignant moment for you, not just in your college career, but to have your brothers and sisters come back.
Yeah, not even just athletically, but personally. So just to go a little bit of a backstory, it was just I had some family that had lived in New Jersey, but my other siblings had lived in Florida. So we had kind of assumed that, just because of travel obligations, that they weren't going to be able to make the game. And I was warned ahead of time by Coach King when we were coming out for senior day. He said, some of you are going to get emotional. Don't cry because I don't want to see it. Just play the football game, Yeah, I know you're going to. It's inevitable. He warned us ahead of time, and I said, no, I eat glass for breakfast. I don't get emotional like that. What are you talking about? Sure enough, my two sisters that lived in New Jersey and the Bronx at the time, they drove up, and my parents drove. Obviously, they were local. But my brother and my sister had flown up from Florida without telling me, completely surprised me. And of course, just folded, completely just started crying because it was the first time growing up for me where everybody collectively as a family had seen me play, and they had all been at my game. And it was very fitting that it was my last game on that historic field against our rivals. So that day in general was very, very, very memorable for me.
Thank you. Brian, your parents made the trip to see you play pretty regularly, given it was a long distance. What did it feel like to have them in the stands for you and for your teammates?
Well, the support's amazing. I mean, thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Love you guys. They did it. I had two brothers, too. They did it for them as well. Everywhere, all the time. My dad was up at 6, driving us to practice and coaching us, and my mom was in the crowd ringing the cowbell and yelling at me to skate. And I remember one time she's banging the bell and skate, and I turned around and I'm like, I am. But obviously not hard enough. But the support, I mean, it's amazing to know, like Stephanie was saying, that just to know that they have your back and they support you, even if you have a crappy game or, if you do something, if you skip a class, or they still love you. So it was, and they became part of the program, the Lidners too, they became friends, and, they became to know everyone, and other parents on the team too, they became like a staple, and it was, it's just awesome to have them around, and it's great for them to be here today, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Mike, you missed the game at Bentley, if I remember right, the tournament.
That's correct, tournament at Bentley.
Could you tell us why?
When Priscilla was pregnant with our second daughter, the projected due date was December 28th. And then I read somewhere where they, on the projected due dates, they're only right 1 out of 8 times. So whatever it was. But we were due to play at December 28th in the Bentley tournament, playing the host team in the first round. And then, so the bus, I think, was at 10 o'clock. We were heading there, and about 9, Priscilla said, I think this is the day. So that was the one game that I missed. My assistant handled it, and around 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, Emily came along, and then, now, we knew it was going to be a girl, but I kind of tossed it out and say, well, you know, if it had been a boy, maybe we could have named her Bentley. But that wasn't going to happen. But I did get there to the next day for the consolation game. I hate to keep saying this, where's Mark Gilbride?
Over here to the left.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and we played Bowdoin, where Mark's father was the coach, and we came from 6 down in the last minute to beat them in overtime. So it was kind of, so the first game Emily was really kind of aware of, we won another.
Just a couple more here before we give you folks a chance to wrap up. Jay, I want to ask you briefly about the NCAA record that will never be broken. 99 yards against Endicott in the season opener. What do you remember about that?
Oh God, the first thing that came to mind is that it was about 133 degrees that day. I just felt like we were just getting incinerated on the field. And it was my last carry of the day. It was an inside run play called Mohawk Left. And the pulling guard, I remember it very vividly, Terrence Bynum. So I had to run on his inside number and somehow managed to find a little bit of daylight. And then like I said, the last carry of the day, by the time I got to midfield, I felt like I was running in tar. Like mine was just, if you watch the film, you're like, is this in slow motion right now? Like this guy, seriously? But yes, that was a play that's completely unexpected. We were on the 1 yard line, just wanted to get an inch just to give ourselves some breathing room. And somehow managed to squirm around and find some daylight and hide behind some people, used it to my advantage, like I had mentioned before, that Smurfback was kind of my my nickname. So I was able to find a little bit of wiggle room and managed to pull that off. And that was definitely, that was a fun play.
Well, we have to give some props to Jake Russell, his classmate, who was also a starter that freshman year and on the offensive line. So you want to take all the credit, Jake, or just some of it? 100%. I figured.
He's got 100%, yes. All 4 years he started. That was awesome.
Yeah. Steph, last one for you. You were a 2-time captain on a very good team, very good teams. What did that mean to you?
I don't know. I guess it means a lot to know that you're recognized not just as a good player, but as a good leader for your team. Because being a good player doesn't necessarily mean that you can encourage and keep your team up and lead them as a teammate. So that means a lot to know that I was recognized in that aspect as well.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to give each of the inductees a chance to take a couple of minutes to provide final thoughts or perhaps some thank yous to those who have helped them get to this point. We'll start with Brian. You have a couple of minutes.
Well, thanks to you, Kevin. Thanks to the committee that voted. I appreciate it. It's humbling. It's an honor. It's I still don't feel like maybe I fit in the category with the Adam Oateses and the Junos, and I guess I'll take it and appreciate it and run. But the opportunity to be a student athlete here was fantastic. We're up here being recognized individually, but we all played team sports, and for me, that came second, the individual stuff. We had a great group of guys, a great group in the locker room. Reason we won that championship was because of the guys in the room, and this is a culmination of my achievements, but my team's help and achievements as well. So thanks to them as well, and just thanks to everyone. It was and thanks to my parents. I appreciate it. And Brad, I hope you can step up and go to class. Make sure you go to class. But congratulations to you three as well. Great honor, and it's a pleasure to be up here and be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you. Jay?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Just wanted to thank, RPI for putting this on. Obviously, there's a lot of time and preparation was put into this, and it's a really nice event. Certainly grateful for the opportunity that I was given to be able to be a part of this place. You look back on it, or at least when I look back on it, I kind of still wonder, like, how did I even get into this school? Because my freshman year when we had orientation, I know. Tell me about it. It's, well, trust me, it's a shock. But, thank you to RPI. And, like Brian had mentioned, I kind of wanted to touch on this as well, is that, when you get it recognized as an individual sport, what's always overlooked is just the sacrifices of your teammates, family, all your support system, like everything else that's put into that allows you to do what you love, to do what you enjoy. That's really what is always overlooked. And it's the individual that's recognized, but it's the sacrifices and culmination of what goes on behind that. So thank you to all my teammates, coaches, family, first and foremost. They always supported me no matter what. And, forever going to be grateful to be a part of this place.
Thank you. Stephanie?
I'm a little nervous, so. First, I want to thank God for the ability and opportunity that I've had in this life to not only play softball, but play well and play here at RPI. Thank you to RPI for everything for my career through playing softball and for putting on this event. Dr. Elroy, Kevin, and Sachi, thank you for putting this together. Done a good job.
Thank you.
And you talked about before with support with family. I want to thank my whole family, who I think everybody is here. I got 2 whole tables of people. I got my sister, Jen, her boyfriend, Garrick, my brother and his wife, who were so nice to take my little guy who was screaming earlier that you heard outside. So thank you to them. I hope they can hear me. Thank you to my Aunt Cheryl, who she lived in the area when I was going to school. She still lives in the area, but she would come to all my games also and videotaped a lot of them, and I have them still at home. My friend Kathy back there, who she kept me in shape with free massages throughout college, so thank you. Thanks, Chris, for coming up here, and there's my mom. Thank you for all the support you've given me also. I want to thank my kids for being here. When we first told them that I was getting in the Hall of Fame, they were kind of like, oh, Mom does something? We didn't know that she did anything before we came along. So it's really special to get to share this with my kids, so I'm really glad they're here, even though James doesn't know what's going on. And they're starting to play ball themselves, so I'm excited to see where it goes for them. And I want to thank my husband, Robert, back there, who keeps coming in and out with the little guy, for all the support he's given me. As you heard, he was our announcer in college. He came to as many games as he could. And he supported me beyond college with my short stint with Boeing when I was working, and as a stay-at-home mom, he supports me in everything. And as you heard, I want to thank my dad, who he did so much for me playing softball. It is unbelievable. He drove me everywhere. He got me all the best equipment. I still remember all the bats. Some of them I dented in my career here that still have those. I keep them just for the memories. And like he said, he would drive up the 3 hours from home. It took me about 3.5 hours to drive here from home. My dad could do it in 2 hours and 45 minutes. So thank you, everyone, for making the time to come up here. It means a lot.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah, Mike?
Mine will be a little bit different since I've already alluded and talked about my family that were here. One, you might wonder why I really haven't used the microphone, but this is about the size of a basketball court. And there were a lot of years when I had to get the referee's attention, who was all the way over there, and I didn't get to use a microphone. So that's force of habit, I guess. It's going to be a little bit different with the years and the perspective. What no one here realizes is that I had a 30-year coaching career here. I had 15 years, and then a new president came to town in 1999 and was our president from that point on. And I just want to talk a little bit about, from my perspective, how it changed things. And my perspective would be that I spent a lot of time reaching out and talking to high school student athletes, but not just that, coaches, guidance counselors, teachers, parents, and really in the time before that, I mean, RPI was obviously very well known as being good, but I think that we were roughly put in a category with, and we get confused sometimes with RPI, RIT, Clarkson, WPI, Stevens, and it was just one of those. As we went along, and it became, and I really mean this, it became Rensselaer, and why not change the world? And we just became so much of a bigger brand. And now when I was talking to people, and I started to say Rensselaer instead of RPI, and it just got more attention. There was just a more recognition of the direction that this school was moving. And I'm not saying that it made recruiting that much easier, because it was still very hard to get in and still an expensive school, et cetera, but there was an advantage of we had a brand name, a recognition, which was clearly better in this time. The other thing is, when I was out at Teal, we were out in Teal, a little town in western Pennsylvania, I was hoping to get back into New York, into this way. The job was open at Hobart in the summer of 1984. And I really thought that would be a good place to be. They, it's a decent school, and they care about sports, et cetera. So I really did everything I could to get involved with that process there. And I, called out the references, people I knew, pulled one that I hadn't used before, that kind of saved for this. I played against Jim Boeheim in college. He was a lot better than I was. And then I coached against him when I was at Colgate, and he was at Syracuse. His teams are a lot better than mine. But still, I mean, we were friends and had, shared professional things. And I got him to call to Hobart, and I didn't get the job. And so, that was a downer. And then 2 weeks later, John Petroci resigned from RPI to take a position as an assistant at Marist College. He had succeeded Bill Calvaugh. Bill for 30 years, John for 1. He left to go to the Division I. The job was open. I was able to get involved with it. I got in for an interview with Bob Banquet was the AD, of course, and Rick Hart, a very good friend of mine, who's unable to be here tonight, but he was part of the chair of the committee, I think. And anyway, it fell in place, and so after the real falling off the cliff there, not getting the Hobart job, then I got the chance to come back to RPI. I think there's an expression for that. I think it's that one of them is that sometimes God's greatest gifts are unanswered prayers. And the Hobart thing went away, and RPI came. Couldn't have been better.
Thank you, Mike.
Sorry, guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my wife. She's not here tonight, but thank you, honey. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate your support. Congratulations once again. Before we have Father Ed come up for the benediction, I just want to ask that the inductees stick around so we can get a group photo, and then we'll get on your way. Thank you again. Father Ed?
Blessed are you, Lord of all creation. Tonight we thank Jay, Brian, Mike, and Steph for the challenge that they have offered us. Their words, their insights, their continued efforts professionally and personally stand out and make us proud of them. And in our pride, we are asked to move forward. Through them, RPI is carried into the world, bringing the best that this institution has to offer. We ask you to continue to bless them and their families and their friends. We have been nourished well by their example and words and presence. May this nourishment inspire us to continue all the efforts that have begun. And Lord, at the end of this evening, we ask that you give us all a safe home. Blessed are you, Lord, now and forever. Amen.
Can you grab your plaque and come on up? Yeah, please.